For most of my life, I used to have very, very low self worth. I used to be so insecure that I was super possessive in whichever relationship I was a part of, whether it was friendship or whether it was a romantic relationship. And at one point, it got so controlling and toxic that it was not only suffocating for the other person, but it was also super, super painful and suffocating for me. And that's when I decided enough is enough. And I set out on this journey to heal and find my self worth, find value in who I am as a person. And it's been a journey, but I want to share the insights that I gathered along the way, which helped me and which will hopefully help you too. Hello, if you're new to this channel, my name is Ramya, and here we talk about all the ways in which you can step into your most authentic power so that you can find your self worth, you can find self love, you can find your value, and live out the purpose that you came to live on this planet. In today's video, I'm going to share all the tips which have truly helped me in my journey of discovering my worth and will hopefully help you too. I grew up in a household that was extremely dysfunctional, where one of my parents was very, very dominating, was very toxic, was very abusive, and I was a very sensitive child. I am what is known as a highly sensitive person, and I was a highly sensitive child, so I picked up on every emotion, I picked up on every energy in the house, and there were constant fights at home, there was constant abusive language being thrown around, and I always looked up to this parent who was dominating, who was the more dominant of my parents, and I outsourced my self-worth to that parent. Every time I did something or every time I wanted acknowledgement for something, I was shut down. I was told that I'm not good enough. I was told that I could be better. I was compared with some other person in my class or my neighbor. I was told that I'm not good looking enough, that my body was not the right shape. It was just so bizarre now when I think about it. But at that age, the child in me was so scarred, was so hurt that my entire sense of self worth was less than zero. I had outsourced it completely to the outer world to because I was just not able to see it in myself. The house, the environment that I was a part of never reflected it back to me. So I had to step out of that environment and seek it out from every other person out there to tell me that I'm worthy, to show me that I'm loved. And as a result of this became like such a toxic validation seeking loop that it became a drug for me. I constantly needed to be validated from the outer world to know that I am good enough. This is not to shame my parents, or this is not to shame the family that I was brought up in, because I truly believe that we've all chosen the experiences that we have on this planet. And honestly, if there was no contrast, there's no growth. So this is what my soul chose for itself. So I don't blame my parents. In fact, I thank them for being my messengers. It took me a long time, of course, to forgive and reach to this point where I'm able to see them as souls and who are in my journey as a part of my healing and everything. But yeah, so this is not to like blame parents, or this is not to like shame the family that brought you up. Okay, it's just to give you an understanding of this is where my low sense of self-worth was birthed. So as I grew up with this low sense of self-worth, I became hyper vigilant about how others around me were perceiving the things that I said, were perceiving me. And if I did not get the reaction that I wanted, I used to spiral down. I used to think that I'm not good enough. I used to think that, okay, there's something I can say or do to correct the situation. It used to like weigh down on me so much. And I used to actually think that every person's mood, if it was down, was because of me for some godforsaken reason, or whether I interacted with them or whether they knew me or not. I used to constantly be thinking that everybody's judging me, nobody likes me, and I need to try extra hard to prove my worth. Now, this was my subconscious personality. On the conscious side, I appear to be like a very, very confident, like a very outspoken, outgoing, bubbly person, but that was just the part of me that was coping with all of this stuff that was happening inside. And this is something that I learned later on in my journey. Now I want to share some tips with you that really helped me and hopefully will help you along this journey too, if you're somebody who's struggling with low self-worth, and if you're just not able to see the beauty in the beautiful, magnificent creation that you are. Number one is your value and your worth never really changed. Now this sounds a little out there, but let me explain. Imagine you're a child who's very sensitive, who's very empathetic, who's very loving, and you're born into a household of people who are very left brained, who are scientists, and who are not at all in touch with their emotions. So, in that household, you come across as a very sensitive and an extremely snowflakey kind of person, and that's what they're going to reflect back to you. They're going to tell you, don't be so weak, don't be so sensitive, oh my god, you're like such a weakling, and things like that. And your entire sense of self worth will be based on the fact that you're being told that okay, you're too much, don't have so many emotions, don't react this way. So you grow up thinking that okay, maybe I am too much, maybe I am over dramatic. Now imagine if the same kid, you who's super sensitive and super empathetic and loving, is born into a family of empaths, of healers, of people who really celebrate life and who are completely right brained into the arts. You would be such an asset in that kind of a setting and that kind of a family. Now, you as a person has not changed. Your value and your worth has not changed. Your environment reflects back to you based on what they need and what they appreciate. So, you have not changed. It's just your environment that has changed. When I realized this, it was such an eye opening and aha moment for me because I realized that I was somebody who was an independent thinker. I had my own opinions about things. I questioned rules if they didn't make sense from a very young age. And I always had this little rebellious streak in me. I wasn't a rebel without a cause. I genuinely questioned things that made sense to me. And if it didn't make sense, I never really adhered to it. So this did not really sit well with my parent, who was a very controlling figure. Now they wanted to mold me into a certain way that fit their idea of what's right and wrong, and they were never able to see me for who I am and appreciate me for who I am. In their mind, imagine if somebody is really controlling and somebody loves to dictate how you should live your life and dictate every step of the way, and then comes this child who is questioning everything, who is rebelling everything, who is really living a life of her own whim. Of course this parent is going to be super pissed off and they're going to reflect that back to the child. They're going to tell the child that okay, you're a curse and like no other child is like you and must be my bad luck that I'm your parent and things like that. And it's very hurtful for this child that is sensitive. But when I realized that at the core there was nothing wrong with me, it was just that my environment was different. I was not appreciated in that particular environment. Now, I made a list of all these qualities: independent thinker, questions rules, and knows myself really well, such that nobody can brainwash me, nobody can manipulate me because I know myself well enough. And when I made a list of all the qualities that I was not appreciated for, and I looked at them, I was like, okay, these are qualities that I'm actually proud of. I would love to see this in another person. So why am I not seeing it in myself? So I consciously made an effort to acknowledge all of those attributes and traits that were rejected by my household, by my family. And I planted myself in a different environment as I grew older, where I was in a group of independent thinkers, people who questioned rules, people who just paved their own path and who didn't really follow society's idea of success. And in that group, I was celebrated. I was looked at as someone who brought in new ideas, who brought in new ways of thinking, and it was so beautiful. So you see how my worth had not really changed. It was just dependent on where I was and what environment I was in. The second thing I did was to stop focusing on my deficiencies. As a person, you may not have all the qualities that you see in another person. A rose is a rose. A rose cannot be a jasmine even if it wants to, because there's certain genetic coding, there's certain intelligence that's coded into the rose plant that makes it a rose. So a rose has certain properties that are appreciated around the world, but if it tries to be a jasmine and compares itself to a jasmine and thinks that it's not enough, then it's going to live a life of misery, never really realizing its own worth. So I stopped focusing on the things that I did not have. Of course, all of us have some weaknesses. I stopped focusing on them and I started focusing more on my strengths. I started focusing on what I could celebrate myself for, what I had to offer the world, what my core competencies are. And this also completely changed my life because when I started focusing on my strengths and when I started celebrating them, I started attracting opportunities and situations in my life where people started recognizing me for those strengths and people started getting value from me for those strengths. And it was a constant mirror to the inner sense of worth that I was feeling. So where in your life are you focusing only on your deficiencies? Don't know how to drive? Big deal. What else are you good at? You don't know how to cook? It's okay. You can always learn, but what else are you good at? You don't think you're good looking enough? Who is to decide the beauty standard? You decide you're good looking and go tell the world, and they will believe you when you believe yourself. Third thing I did was I stopped devaluing myself. What this means is, I'm sure like you'd relate to it, where if you are somebody who suffers with low self-worth, you put yourself down in front of other people. You make a joke about yourself, or you say something silly that, okay, you're really good, but maybe I can't do this. Or you're really thin, so you look good in that dress. I'm fat, so I can't. So you are devaluing yourself, not only in the other person's mind, but in your own mind. And I want you to take a step back and see where the self criticism is stemming from. How is this self criticism serving you? Because, as difficult as this is to accept, every self criticism or every negative thing that we tell ourselves or we convince ourselves of is a protective mechanism trying to protect us from something else. So if you are saying something like, oh yeah, I just messed this up, like I know this is not good, I know I can do better, what you're actually doing is you're protecting yourself from rejection from the other person. Because when rejection from somebody else hurts a lot more than you rejecting yourself. So if I pinch myself today, it hurts far lesser than somebody else coming and pinching me. So, in order to protect myself from that hurt, I self reject. So, understand where you are self rejecting. And I took a step back and I started looking at my patterns of where I was devaluing myself by putting myself down in front of other people, by saying something negative about myself. And I just stopped doing that. If I had any flaws, I just kept it to myself. I decided that I would work on it, but I would not go and parade that around the world. The next thing I did was I replaced my limiting thoughts with more empowering ones. This is something, when I understood it, completely changed my life, because I realized that everything in life, every reality I created, just started with a thought. So if I intercepted it at the thought level, then everything else that followed it would also change. So, for example, if my thought was, I am worthless, then I start generating feelings of unworthiness. I start feeling that in my body, and as a result, that's the reality that I create, because my reticular activating system shows proof of more of what I believe in. Every time I had a thought that was limiting, I would ask myself, if a friend came to me and told me that they think they're worthless, how would I really react? And I'm sure you would jump in with so many reasons as to why they're worthy, why you love them, why they deserve to exist, and all of that. So I started doing the same for myself. Every time I had a limiting thought, I asked myself, what would I tell a friend? And then I started looking at myself as that friend, and I started giving myself all that validation, and I started looking at it until that became my new reality. I started focusing only on my positives that made me feel that I was worthy. So look at your thoughts and intercept them before they become your reality. Because your reticular activating system will attract whatever you believe in. It will show you a reality based on whatever you believe in. So what I want you to do is send your brain on a treasure hunt of finding reasons as to why you're worthy. And the brain loves challenges. It loves it when you put it to a mission. So it will dig up every instance where you've been of value, where you've contributed something, where you've felt good, and it'll give you a list of reasons, and you just have to look at those list of reasons and just re-establish the fact that yes, I do feel valued, I am worthy. And the last point I want to leave you with is, when you meet other people, look for things that you appreciate in them instead of condemning in them. Because when you condemn something in them, it's some unrealized part of you that is being triggered. It's some part of you that feels that, okay, I cannot get that, and that's why I'm feeling bad. So when you meet anyone, however crazy or however obnoxious they are, try to look for the good in them and try to appreciate them for all the good in them. And that trains your brain to also look for all the good in you, and your self-worth will also increase as a result of that. When you're able to appreciate another person for who they truly are, you will be able to appreciate yourself for who you genuinely, authentically are. So these were my tips for finding your self-worth. Each of them is super, super potent. Try it out. Let me know how it worked for you. And if you want some help in getting started with the journey, I've created a free workbook for you. It's an authenticity workbook, which will help you find your core values. It will help you find what truly drives you. It will help you get a little more in touch with yourself. So download that free workbook, work through the journal prompts, and you'll realize something new about you. And when you do, celebrate that aspect of you as well. Okay, so I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.